right, so once you got all this area nice and clean, clean the end here, and then we're going to apply some grease, a light film of grease on your threads, on the splines outside, a little bit on these threads on the inside. This is where your black preload plastic cap is going to go, and then a little bit of light grease here where the bearings are going to ride on, and then just making sure the inside of this is all clean on both sides. Now we're ready to install. We're going to go ahead and slide this back in. And if it gets a little tough, you can give it some gentle taps here, or you can use your soft mallet and give it some gentle taps right there. Just want to have it come to pretty much a stop. And then you can give it a spin just to make sure everything's moving correctly, spinning good, feeling good. So we won't know if it's stopped creaking or not at this time. We got to connect everything back together and then apply some leg pressure on there. All right, so once we have contact, pushing the other side of the crank all the way in. Crank arm is down on this side over here, so this crank arm is going to be up. You want to make sure this arm is opposite. We already make sure this is all cleaned up as well. This is all pretty dirty. So before we get this guy back together, we're going to take these bolts out completely, and we're going to clean the threads, and we're going to re-grease them. And careful, there might be a washer as well. You want to double check in there, make sure the washer's not stuck in there, but it looks like it's here on the bolt here. So we're just going to wipe these down clean, get them fairly clean, wipe them down with a rag, and then we're going to put a little more grease on these threads and then reinstall everything. There is that little plastic piece inside here. That's the safety catch. It's actually held in with this bolt right there. If it does fall out, make sure you watch it and see which way it comes out so you can put it back in the right way. All right, this is about the right amount of crank shaft sticking out right here. If you had any less than that, it could be a problem, could be an issue. Could be that the bottom bracket width is a little bit too short. The crank arm on this side is down, so I'm going to install this one in the up position. And there's all the splines look the same except for there's one fat spline on top that's going to line up with this guy here. And can you put this on incorrectly? No, not really. So there's one way to do it. So you're just going to line up that fat notch right there, just as long as its crank arm is straight up and the other one's down. So we have that little piece of plastic. If you can't get this on, it's because this little safety is down, so you got to lift it up. Then your crank arm can slide on. Once you do that, we're going to get our plastic preload bearing adjuster right there, and you can basically start it with fingers or your tool. And this one's going to be finger tight. We're not going to use a lot of pressure. I'm just using the tips of my fingers here, going very gently. So right there, I started to feel just some light resistance. And I'm going to go ahead and go just a little bit more. And if you want, you can give it a test. You can try and see if this arm shakes by pulling it side to side. And I'm feeling just a little bit of movement there. So I'm going to go just a little bit tighter. Just like that. We'll try it again. Basically, I'm going to see if the crank is going to slide left and right, side to side. We can even grab here, pull and push, pull and push. So I'm not feeling anything there. So if you were going pretty light and careful, you can maybe just go just a tad more, just for kind of like a pinch for good luck, just in case if it does start to break in and loosen up, maybe it'll land right in the spot where it's perfect. So now we can go ahead and push a little plastic hook down. That's going down. And now we can tighten up our two pinch bolts there. Tighten these systematically, taking all the play out of that one, and until you feel there's some resistance, tighten that, give it a little turn. So I'm going to go back and forth. And when you have them split like this, it's kind of like doing a bolt pattern. We're going to tighten a little bit at a time. As you tighten one side, the other side loosens up a little bit, and so on and so forth. And we're going to do this until I get it fairly tight with my hand, with just my two fingers here. And then we're going to get a torque wrench. And there's a sticker on most of these, unless it's fallen off, and usually it says tighten. Each of the bolts should be evenly and equally tightened to 12 to 14 Newton meters by torque wrench. So I'm going to break out a torque wrench. So I got this one here. It's a Park Tool TW-5. It goes from 3 Newton meters all the way up to 15. And we need to bring this to between 12 and 14. So I'm going to go 13. This one has a little spring. Pull it back. And we're going to line up this red line with 13. And we're going to tighten one at a time. And make sure this tool fits in real deep in this bolt. These bolts have a tendency to kick out your tool, which in turn you're going to start stripping that bolt. So once that's in there nice and tight, it's going to hold on with some easy pressure. And the head's going to pivot here if you haven't used this before. The click is very low, so you may not hear it. You just want to feel a little flex in the head here. So nothing there. Just going to gently tighten that side, come over to this side. We don't want to tighten one side all the way. It's going to have uneven pressure. Just going to go back and forth until we reach 13 Newton meters. And when you're done with these types of torque wrenches that you have to wind up, you want to back them off, put them back at 0, so you prolong the life of the spring that's in there. There, that click, and it gave me a little bit of a pivot. So that's telling you to stop there. If you don't stop, you could continue to over tighten. We don't want to do that. So that's 13. Now we want to bring this one up to 13. And I'm going slower, going nice and easy. Keep turning until we get that click. Cool. Now we're going to go back to the other side, because as you tighten this side, it may have loosened this side. We want this to click immediately. Like right there, I'm actually tightening a little more, and then it clicks. So we're looking for an immediate click. And that turned a little bit. I think we should be getting closer. This is just going to click right away. Yep, that clicked right away. And that clicked right away. So now I feel very confident. These bolts are on tight. Give this a spin. Should have little to no resistance there. And you can give it another test. Pulling the crank arm, going side to side, so you can grab it here by the pedal, and you're just going side to side this way, and you're going to feel if there's any looseness or any knocking. And this feels totally solid. There's no play in the system, so we're golden. It's been awesome.